Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon or good evening. We are now on session 2 for today. That is now the 19th of June, 2020. But before we go to session 2, firstly, allow me to convey words of condolences to all the families that have lost their loved ones due to COVID-19, gender-based violence, and other causes. May the Lord give you strength, wisdom, courage, and comfort. Please don't forget that we need to throw all our burdens upon the Lord. I would like also to convey words of gratitude to all South Africans who have given a helping hand, and we have also given support morally and otherwise to everyone who's been affected by any kind of a painful experience, even to destitute families as well. We thank you, ladies and gentlemen. May the good Lord bless you. Ladies and gentlemen, coming to session 2, allow me first to wrap up with regards to now session 1. Session 1 was based on the introduction of and highlights of now the personal life of our leader, the late Professor Right Rev JJR Makasi, at the very same time giving you the position or the declaration of the church, which is Bantu Congregational Church of Zion, with regards to this day and the following days in this month. And then it was declared, as I said, as a month or days of remembrance. And then we gave details in as far as how we're going to observe that without compromising the doctrine of the church, and then also the authority of the Bible. Now, remember, I also mentioned Mama Unotutu, which I don't give more details about her, who is my grandmother. Just to be brief, she was loved by Bishop JJR Makasi. Tadu Gautini was the first one to be called out of this world, and then Tadu Jongile was left with her only. Now, she was a Christian, a stubborn one, a strict one as well. She was strict and stubborn. But that is not a proper word to use when you are referring to an elder person in our culture. So please forgive me for that. She was also a member of St. John's, one of the Pentecostal churches. Um, both of my grandparents, that is now Tado Gautini and also grandfather Mama Unotutu, were amongst the Africans who are the living embodiment and outward expression of Ubuntu. In as much as they were wealthy, based now on the livestock, but they took care of other people, practicing now the Ubuntu cultural practice, even also taking care of strangers as well. Then I'm mentioning this so that now you may also understand, and like I said before, the background of now Dada JJR Makasi. Last but not least, with regards to Umama Umakul Notutu, she was also protective of Utata. Then, which makes one to understand how also Bishop JJR Makasi loved our mother, Mrs. M.N. Makasi. I won't mention her name. M.N. Okay, only give you initials, right? He loved her so much. I learned a lot from him. I learned a lot from him from that. I've observed a lot. By the way, it's not for the time for me to share my personal encounter at this juncture, because like I said, I'm speaking to you now as the General Secretary of the church. So I'm just mentioning now certain observations. But I will come to the impact that now his life has now of his life has affected me personally. Last but not least, like I said, even the name Mtsineni, which is my name, was given to me by Umama Unotutu as a word. And it was part of her last post. By that time, she was not well. She was really not well. This was one of her last words, because she gave me that name before she passed away. Said now, Mtsineni Lomdana. That means keep him. My father, or Bishop JJR Makasi, was also exposed to and taught about traditional medicine, various kinds of traditional medicines, by his grandfather, by my grandfather, who is his father, Dada Gauteng. And then also, ladies and gentlemen, I forgot to mention this, that Dada Ujongile Makasi ngumthembu libomvana, right? Now, you will understand what do I mean by that, because those people are kind of have their own unique character and personality as amabomvana. Yes, right. Now, in terms of now other aspects before repentance as well, that I wish to also bring to your attention is that during the time he was a student of the initiation school, Tata Ujongile James Makasi showed signs of a particular gift in as far as now faith healing is concerned. There was a time whereby he was injured, and then he took now after a long time that he was not well. Apparently he was injured At least not inside, not internally, externally. And then he took ashes, and applied it on the wound, and thereafter he prayed. And then boom, a few days later, he got healed. I'm just mentioning a few of those unique elements of him. At the very same time, he was never subjected to any kind of normal illnesses, fever, stomach ache, whatsoever, headache, whatsoever. He will even have a wish that he could get a fever. The only time he started to experience that it was after he had a toothache. Then it had to be, he went to a dentist. Thereafter, started now to experience now all kind of other illnesses that we generally or normally experience. Now, then also, what I would love to also mention is that, as I said, he was now in Chabi. That is now, he had some kind of a traditional trauma and a responsibility attached to it, as he was also a firstborn. But not only now in his family, but for the entire family. And remember, Abatembu have that kind of a royal element, royal family element in that regard. So, but the time that he took a decision, or he repented, amongst other decisions that he took was to give up that traditional throne, that is now the spear, then hand over to his younger brother, that is now a brother from another mother. Remember, I said, great-grandfather Tatu Mtongwana was a polygamist. So he gave up and hand over the traditional throne and responsibilities, as he was now committed to the line of now Christianity. But then when his father passed away, he inherited all that wealth, that is now the livestock, and thereafter took care of his mother. Now, in the meantime, we are done with now the highlights of his personal life. In fact, even the introduction, by the way, it's an introduction. It's highlights of the introduction. It's the highlights of the introduction. Like I said, now everything else is now written in the church history book, and then also in his profile as well. Well, the two documents, his profile, and then also the church history book, and then also lastly, the memory booklet as well, where all of us as church members, even families, we are also sharing our memories with regards to our personal encounter with him, the impact that he has in his lives. All right. Now, coming to now the church business, church, even here in session 2, like I said before, I'm only gonna give you thought-provoking questions, which will lead you to session 3. So, to stimulate your thoughts, allow me to first now take you back to a political background and the political landscape of our country, of our beloved country. Now, remember, as you know, that before 1948, if I'm not mistaken, black people were oppressed. Even before the introduction of now apartheid system, were oppressed through colonialism. Now, South Africa was a British colony. In close, I would say, uMzansi Africa ibilithanga leBritane. All right. Now, let's go let's look at the term Abantu. Bantu, first of all, it comes from a stem of the noun ntu. Ntu means person. Now, when it comes to a singular, you will say umtu. Then when it comes to a plural, you will say abantu. So when you refer to abantu, you mean people. Now, then hence now the culture of Ubuntu, which is humanity. Humanity. Yes, all right. Now, that definition was altered by the architects or the agents of colonialism. One of them I remember is John Creed, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure about the pronunciation. But he now defined Bantu. Said now not Abantu, I said Bantu, and took out Iceba. You know, almost in Xhosa grammar, guys, Iceba is a sagelo. So he took out Iceba, which is now A, and then now defined Bantu. Bantu was now given as a term to describe a family of language spoken mainly by southern and eastern Africans. Right. Now, later, after the introduction of apartheid, which is now apartness in English, mainly that ideology was championed by National Party government, which is mainly looking now at separate development of different racial groups. So they also redefined this term Bantu, in addition to the colonial definition that was now altering the original meaning of the word. They even had their own Afrikaans word for it, which is now Bantu, which is now Bantoe, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not good in Afrikaans. So that's how it came about to say now Bantu, but the actual word is Bantu. Then now the apartheid government used now Bantu as a derogatory term for black Africans. Now, it was also used now as a symbol of the oppressor, which was offensive. And it was also now attached in the description of now Bantu homelands, that is now Bantu stands or Bantu stands, which is now namely Transkei, Ciskei, Bophuthatswana, Venda. Right. Now, having said that, I would like to bring your attention to one of the correspondences, just to prove to you what now our apartheid government was imposing to our people, in as far as now enhancing the apartheid system. This is the correspondence addressed to JJR Makasi on behalf of Bantu Congregational Church of Zion. It's dated the 2nd of April 1975. They are responding to the letter that now he wrote on behalf of the church, dated now 22nd of July 1968. Now, during the apartheid era, or the government, churches were registered under the Department of Bantu administration and development. Here is the letter, right? But I'm gonna read it. I'm gonna read it for you. I'm gonna read it for you. I'm gonna read it for you. It reads as follows. It reads as follows. Republic of South Africa, Department of Administration and Development. Date 2nd of April 1975. Constitution, Bantu Congregational Church of Zion. 1. I wish to acknowledge receipt of your letter dated 22nd July 1968, under cover of which the constitution of your church was submitted to the department. 2. The constitution is, however, returned herewith as policy requires that welfare organizations, church bodies, etc. should stipulate in their constitution for what racial group they are catering. According to the constitution of your church, membership could be open to all racial groups. The danger here is that if other racial groups should join your church in large numbers, the executive of your church may be dominated by such groups, and it is therefore suggested that a separate clause be inserted that only Bantu may qualify for membership. 3. I may point out that any organization or body which is not controlled exclusively by Bantu will not be permitted to purchase any property in Bantu homelands. 4. Failure to exclude non-Bantu from membership will, however, not disqualify a church organization to obtain church sites by permission to occupy in the homelands on condition that the applicant church meets the other requirements of the department. Yours faithfully. Right? Those are the challenges. Then, so you'll understand now why there's been a challenge with regards to the word Bantu, based now on what was imposed by the apartheid system. Now, also there were challenges faced by churches in as far as now the establishment is concerned, for them to be registered by the government. But even so, like we said now, that apartheid was now an ideology of separate development for different racial groups. In as far as now the requirements, they differ from one race to another, and even from a particular some kind of a denomination to another. So, I will speak now based now on Zion churches, one of the indigenous churches that were established by our own people. Now, the challenge was that now the requirements will differ from one African racial group to another, which one with other enhanced or promoted tribalism and division amongst the Africans. And then also the Zion churches, there was some kind of a stigma attached and also a prejudice towards them, the Zion churches. I think elder people will know what I'm referring to. Even the members of the Zion churches will remember that you were even ashamed when you introduce yourself, when you've been asked to which denomination you belong. You will be hesitant to mention Zion because you will know that now people will laugh at you, making mockery, and all sorts of kind of prejudice towards this, even from our own people, by the way. So never underestimate the apartheid system and their its brutality as well, and even the methods of now dividing our people, creating animosity amongst our people. All right, I was coming out with the issue of registrations. Now, for the Xhosa speaking people, it was difficult to establish, to register the Zion churches. One, there were, amongst others, the following requirements. One, you must have 10 branches that are already established. That's point number one. Two, churches must have a minimum of 12 ministers who are now literate, who have now both academic and also theological qualifications. Now, therefore, how do you deal with that, knowing very well that now there were some challenges that were faced by our own people to meet such requirements? Amongst those challenges were the following. One, sites were given to churches that were already established before now National Party government took over. Two, there was the issue of pass laws, which is now people are only allowed to stay in a place outside their town for 72 hours, which is approximately 3 days. So you will stay in another place for almost 3 days. Then thereafter you have to come back if you are given your DOM pass. But even so, it was difficult to even apply for it. It was not easy. So most black people by that time were illiterate due to now as a result of the apartheid system. So therefore, ladies and gentlemen, that brings us now to the last part of this session, that in the midst of all such challenges that I've mentioned, though it's few, are not limited to the ones that I've already mentioned, but I wanted now to stimulate now your intellectual ability or your thoughts, so to speak. Now, so the question that we need to ask ourselves now as a point of departure for this session are as follows. How was Bantu Congregational Church of Zion established? And what has led to her establishment? Second question. Was Bantu Congregational Church registered under the government of now the National Party or under the apartheid government during now the apartheid era? As I've mentioned now, the difficulties and the challenges that were faced by our own Xhosa speaking people to register the churches under the government. If yes, how? How did it happen? Then two, how did now this church, which is now this denomination, BCCZ, Bantu Congregational Church of Zion, survive the oppressive registration requirements of the apartheid government? And also, how did the church progress under such circumstances? Then also, how did BCCZ establish branches all over South Africa during apartheid era under those oppressive requirements and systems that were now imposed on our people? Then lastly, how did, if BCZ has sites or obtained sites during now the apartheid era, then how did Bantu Congregational Church of Zion obtain sites during the apartheid era under those oppressive requirements that were clear in terms of pushing now the ideology introduced by the National Party? So those are the thought-provoking questions that we should now answer in the following sessions. Then also, Bantu Congregational has got a certain rhythm, a unique rhythm, unique songs, unique dance, then who was the choreographer? Who was the composer of this music, this rhythm, this art of music, this art of dance, this art of cycle running, which you're going to explain, by the way, theologically, also what it means based on the teachings that we got in terms of our theological training. Then, so all of that, I want you to think of it now as to how did it all happen? So the question is, have you wondered how? Are you wondering now? Please keep your thoughts, because in the next few days we are gonna be answering such questions, so that now you may understand as to on what basis are we glorifying God, and are we thanking God for all that we have mentioned, as we said, not limited to those that we've mentioned. So as now this month of remembrance progresses or unfolds in terms of now the sessions, your questions will be answered in that. But you're also at liberty to also ask any questions in your comments, so that now also we may also consider them when we present to you this process of now, or this event of the month of remembrance. So in closing, may I share with you what you call in nowadays a worship song, though you don't call it a worship song. I'm going to share with you. This is one of the unique worship songs, and we don't call it worship songs in our church, which now has been composed by someone. We're going to share with you who is that someone. Thereafter, we're going to share you just now one of the songs that were composed as well, which is now currently being sung by many churches, Zion churches, countrywide, and even the kind of dance is also now, shall I say it, emulated. People are emulating someone, which is not wrong. I'm not saying it's wrong, but let me share that with you now at this point in time. let's hold it there. Let's hold it there. Hold it. So whenever you hear any Zion church singing that song in that way, in that rhythm, yes, they got it from Bantu Congregational Church of Zion. Now, the basis of the composition of that song, Wenyuka Uzion, is based on the Beatitudes. Don't worry, we're going to share with you what I mean by that. Not now. But go to your Matthew chapter 5, first verse, and so forth. Before now, Christ taught his disciples. Let's hold it there. See you in the next session, when only God knows. Remember, the world, he's got the whole world in his hands. He's got the whole world in his hands. So tomorrow I may be no more. Even so, somebody else will continue with this session in my absence if the Lord has called me. Even so, remember as well, I have been delegated by my bishop, my leader, whom I love and respect, Bishop L.L. Makasi, with the powers vested upon him to delegate me in such responsibilities of this nature. So I would like to convey my sincere gratitude to him, and may God bless him. I have a lot to say about him. Don't worry, it's coming. May you have a wonderful, is it evening? For me, it's evening. I don't know about you, but please, ladies and gentlemen, sleep well, stay safe, stay at home, observe and comply with all the regulations of our that were now given to us by our government as a directive.